going on, Jerome? So Minnesota Vikings training camp and preseason is right around the corner. Like, if you just blink, it'll be here. It'll be glorious. Yes, focusing on all the stars is fantastic. Justin freaking Jefferson, Diamond Dallas Turner, J.J. McCarthy, etc. But it's the fringe roster guys that really do make up the foundation of the team. The guys that play special teams, the guys that give looks in practice, the guys that work their way up and become stars in their own right. And it's like when you watch Hard Knocks. Like, they rarely focus on the stars. They focus on the guys that are like fighting and clawing to make the team. And those are guys and storylines that I like in training camp. So here are five fringe roster guys that you should definitely be rooting for as training camp approaches. Number one, Thayer Thomas. So I love me some Thayer Thomas, the pride of NC State. Go Wolfpack. And he is a true blue slot machine receiver. He is very adept at getting open in space. He's very good at eating up zones. Also, he's a very adept punt returner as well. And Kevin O'Connell has singled him out in press conferences, talking about him, hyping him up. He's had some nice reps with J.J. McCarthy. And we've talked about how if you develop... Say you have a rookie quarterback who starts out on the second or third team, and you have a young receiver who develops a chemistry with them. Eventually, as that future franchise quarterback rises up, it's really weird how sometimes that receiver rises with him. So I think that Thomas is doing something smart and really developing a nice chemistry with J.J. McCarthy. And I think that Thomas could be something. And even though the Vikings receiver room is pretty damn jammed right now, I do think that Thomas could eventually separate himself. Maybe he'll be on the practice squad for another year. But I think eventually, especially when McCarthy rises up, I think that Thayer Thomas could be a little something, especially as a punt return, and especially if Brandon Powell continues to ascend as the wide receiver 3. Number 2, Tyrese Robinson. So, yes, you're always looking for offensive line help all over the place. But so T-Rob is a guy that... So Robinson's interesting because if you check out the social media of the offensive linemen, like when they're working out, whether it's Darrisaw, whether it's Ed Ingram, you always have Tyrese Robinson in the background. So he's putting in that work quietly. He was a 3-year starter at Oklahoma, 6'3", 317. He was a 2022 UDFA, bounced around the league a little bit. The Vikings picked him up on the practice squad last year, and he's been running with the twos at the second-team right guard. So maybe a guy who could eventually get into the guard competition. But also he's a guy that they do like a lot. And I'm all for offensive line depth, man. Like wherever it comes from, I do not care. But Robinson also played a little bit of tackle at Oklahoma, so he has that guard tackle flexibility. And I'm all for cultivating interior offensive line talent and just getting after things. So I do like Tyrese Robinson a lot. Next up, number 3, inside linebacker Abraham Boan. So he's 5'11", 241, 2023 UDFA out of Marshall. And he is a heart and hustle special teamer. The coaching staff, especially Coach Hatt, like him a lot. And he does have an uphill climb. So Pace, Cashman, Grugier, Hill are set in stone. Like those are 3 guys that are definitely making the rooster. Asamoah's in a tenuous spot because when he's been healthy and on the field, he makes plays. But injuries have really put him behind the 8 ball. And heading to year 3, he may not be guaranteed a roster spot, which is kind of crazy to think. But Abe Boan, like the coaching staff loves him, and he's been showing up and showing out. He definitely could be a solid backup as well as a great player in the third phase. So he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on as we approach training camp and preseason. Next up, number 4, edge rusher Andre Kata II. Now, the pride of Army, last year's UDFA. Now, what's interesting is that Ivan Pace Jr. and Andre Carter were seen as equal footing, last year before, Pace Jr. went on his meteoric rise. But Carter, Carter was largely seen as a potential mid-round pick, but ultimately went undrafted. Didn't really have a great senior season at Army, was dinged up. But he's 6'6", 256. He's only 24 years young, and he's still working on building an NFL body. Right? That's the whole thing about coming from these service academies is that, yeah, I mean, you're playing high-level football, but there are certain physical parameters that are asked of you in your cadet duties where it doesn't necessarily sync up with being an NFL player. So he's working on things, getting after it. But, I mean, remember, he put up 16 and a half sacks as a junior in 2021. That's how he got on the draft radar. He had 20 and a half tackles for loss. So he does have a good sense for getting after things, but it's going to be tough. I mean, that edge rushing room, all of a sudden, I mean, it's pretty damn jammed, man. So AVG, Jonathan Grenard, Diamond Dallas Turner, those are the three studs that you can write on, that you could definitely like cement in. Patrick Jones second in a contract year. Hopefully things start clicking for him. Gabe Murphy is rising up as a UDFA. Hey, Bo Richter. Speaking of Service Academy edge rushers, but I mean, Carter, you knew that Carter was going to take time. I hope that they keep him in the fold. Last year they kept him on the 53. I think they'll try to do the same again, because I think that he would have a lot of appeal trying to pass through waivers before he gets on the practice squad and they could protect him. But, I mean, Carter, you can never have enough dudes who can rush the passer and get after things in their own right. And I think Carter II is a guy that definitely needs a little bit more time, a little bit more work, but I think he certainly could be worth it. Lastly, number 5. Jalen Williams. I love Jalen Williams, man. The pride of Indiana, UDFA last year. He is a slot machine. He is tough. He is feisty. He's got great ball skills and instincts. And frankly, you know, with Murphy Jr. heading into a contract year and Murph having some, you know, up and down health issues, I like Murph a lot. But, you know, could Jalen Williams be being prepped to be the potential slot replacement for Murph in 2025? I think it's certainly possible. I think that Jalen definitely makes a push to make the 53 this year. I think that he's the guy that you want to protect. And, you know, the Vikings cornerback room right now, it's, you know, Shaq, Murph, and then it's Blackman and Evans. I think that Williams might make a push to be that 5th or 6th corner, especially when you factor in rookie Kyrie Jackson and McLaughlin as well. So I think Williams is a guy who fills a very specific niche on the defense and a guy that's really going to start getting after things at training camp in year 2. But that's it. That's at 5 fringe roster guys that you should definitely be rooting for. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. So on support the work, put a little something in the Venmo. But next time, Skol, production value.